Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our serverless webinar series. My name is Anshu Agarwal, and I am co-founder and CEO of Nimbella, a serverless platform provider. Today, my guest is AP. He is CTO at Skillsoft, and welcome, AP. Thank
Thank
you
you,
for being
Anshu.
here. Mhm.
Thank you, Anshu. Glad to be here.
All right. So, AP, tell us about yourself and what you do at Skillsoft.
Thank you. I'm currently the Chief Technology Officer of Skillsoft. Skillsoft is a preeminent corporate training company and corporate learning company. We've been around for 20 plus years. Um, I run all of product management, engineering, our cloud operations, pretty much the whole bit. Before Skillsoft, I was a group president in a payments company called ACI Worldwide, where I ran their whole on-demand cloud division. And then before ACI Worldwide, I was in the IBM company. I created IBM's initial SaaS applications around the Lotus portfolio, like Lotus Live.
Okay.
Um, so my journey on the cloud has been, quite a while. Starting around 2005, 2006. Um, so I've been in this space overall for about 14, 15 years, near and dear to me.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. All right. You talked a little bit about the what Skillsoft business is. Could you elaborate a little bit more on how big is the company? How what kind of customers you have? Where are your customers based?
Right,
Just
right,
so our audience has some idea.
right. So we are the largest corporate training provider company. We just recently went public, actually.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so our overall
Congratulations.
revenue, thank you. Our overall revenue touches around $700 million today. Uh,
Wow.
we have worldwide literally thousands of customers, several tens of thousands of customers all over the world, stretching from Japan to to the west coast of the United States. So literally all over the world. We have many of the Fortune 500 companies as our customers, but actually going all the way down to customers who are small, like 50 employees even, or 100 employees. So because e-learning is such a common human need, what we see in as part of being Skillsoft is that due to technological progress mostly, as well as how we manage technology, um, things change. Things are changing very rapidly. College degrees are becoming rather antiquated, rather fast. Right?
Uh-huh.
In 5 years, what you learned in college is probably, not very hot or current.
Uh-huh.
So, and people need to learn on the job continuously for the 25 to 40 years that they'll be working. Right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so how do you do that? How do you do that progressively? Uh,
Uh-huh.
is where Skillsoft comes in.
Okay.
Well, a college is a 4-year degree, but you have 40 more years to learn and progress uh,
Yeah.
around your career ambitions, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the opportunity that we are working on, and that's the market that we address.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, college gives you a good base, but it's frozen in time. If you, if you may,
Yeah.
you just spend 4 years, you learn. But if that's all you needed for career of 30 years, I think then we won't be
Yeah.
making
When I was
progress.
in college, there was nothing called cloud.
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for giving that background of the company. You talked about your cloud journey. Could you tell a little bit about the cloud journey of Skillsoft? Because I'm sure in your span at Skillsoft, that must have changed, evolved over the years.
Yeah, of
Uh-huh.
course, and it's great that you asked that, right? So, given, let's say, primarily Skillsoft is a high quality content delivery company, right?
Uh-huh.
And content obviously cannot be delivered just by itself. It comes with an experience around it. Think of the Netflix platform, right? It's not
That's
just
correct.
a
Hmm.
bunch of disconnected, content pieces, right? There's a personalization. There's all kinds of things going on in that platform, right?
Hmm.
Skillsoft delivers content experiences, right?
Okay.
Now, fortunately, quite from the very beginning, in fact, late 90s, actually, Skillsoft was delivered as a cloud application, not the kind of cloud we mean today, right?
Okay.
But hosted in a data center and so on and so forth, right?
Okay. Hmm.
Let's call it cloud version minus point one, right?
Okay. Hmm.
Where we would actually either have our own data centers or rent colo space and
Okay.
host our own applications. But from a customer experience point of view, it was cloud, right?
That's right.
They could get all the Skillsoft services at the end of an URL, right? So from a customer point of view, that's kind of cloud, right?
That is, yeah.
We all know today that that's not what we mean by cloud, right?
Mm-hmm.
Skillsoft's cloud journey has been interesting because we were in a quote unquote, we had our own data centers, and then we went to colo data centers in the early 2000s, right?
Okay, I remember those
You know,
times.
those times you remember, right? You're kind of giving up the physical management of space. You're giving up, hooking up wires and stuff like that. But you still have your machines. You actually send your
That's
machines,
right.
right?
Yeah.
That's step one of the journey, right? Giving up a little bit of control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, over the last couple to 3 years, and it took us a while because you need fundamental architecture changes to actually profitably run on a public cloud, right? So what we realized was we, of course, needed to go to a public cloud for horizontal scale, right? Core colo business doesn't work eventually. But we had a lot of infrastructure, a lot of capabilities like provable disaster recovery, right? Which
Okay.
is very important for our customer set, right?
Yeah.
And security standards like FedRAMP, right?
Yeah.
So we did all that in this data center space, right? But we needed to do all that in a public cloud. So we actually moved to AWS public cloud recently over the last, actually a couple of years back. And that actually required a lot of application re-architecture, to be honest, to make it really work well and leverage the capabilities of a modern platform. What I found was all of this is easier said than done. If you take an industrial strength application, enterprise application, and you want to change the infrastructure below it, you should count on changing the application quite a bit.
That's right. Yeah, you have to re-architect.
There's nothing called lift and shift. Lift and shift is just you're kidding yourself that you're in a public cloud, right? You're actually not using the public cloud.
Yeah.
So that's our journey overall, right? It's kind of the whole gamut, right?
Yeah.
From V-1 to current version V1 of quote unquote public cloud, right?
Yeah. So are you all in public cloud now? No private?
We are. Our new platform is all in public cloud, where most of our customers are migrating.
Okay.
Older platform is still in our private cloud, but what we want to do is retire that platform fairly soon. Right?
Okay. And what cloud technologies do you use? Like in AWS, are you heavy on the EC2s, or you're using more Kubernetes, or you're using serverless? What cloud technologies are you focused on?
Yeah, we actually use a whole bunch, right? So clearly EC2, right?
Okay.
But we also use several AWS application services, or not application services, but let's say middleware services.
Okay,
right?
got it.
We use EDB, we use RDS.
Oh, okay.
So we use AWS specific services. We're going to use Aurora fairly soon.
Okay.
We use other services like CloudWatch, right?
Okay, yeah, got it.
And we also use not just AWS services, others public cloud service providers, right?
Okay.
So we use a service to transcode video files, right? Which is not AWS per se. CloudFront provides that, but we choose another service provider that provides that for us.
Okay. And the transcoding, you probably require a lot of that because you're in learning.
That's why I mentioned that. That's why
okay.
We require a lot of that.
Yeah.
For several economic reasons, we found a different way to do this that works better for us.
Yeah. I mean, that's true cogs of your business, I guess.
Right.
So you mentioned AWS, but do you care about multi-cloud? I know you are transcoding on a different cloud, but just for your fundamental cloud services of e-learning and distribution, do you care about being multi-cloud, or you are planning to be just in one cloud?
Eventually, we have to do multi-cloud, right?
Okay.
Here's why I say this, right? In the evolution of our company, we do believe that we will acquire other companies that are better suited to a different cloud, let's say, right? If you fundamentally have, let's say we acquire a company which is fundamentally based on .NET C#, right? The .NET C# stack, everything said and done, runs more efficiently on Azure.
Yeah.
So then if you acquire that company, you really are shooting yourself on the foot if you stick with your single public cloud strategy.
Okay.
Once things become a little bit more complicated, you almost have to go to a multi-cloud strategy, which fits well with the core application architecture. So I see ourselves being multi-cloud, one big acquisition away, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. So, and it could be tomorrow or next year. I mean, it,
Who
it
knows,
could just
right?
happen. Okay. Got it. Got
It'll
it.
happen, right?
Okay. So, when you started your cloud native journey, did your developers feel, or cloud native by this I mean going to public cloud? Okay.
Mhm.
Did your developers feel overwhelmed by the number of services they had to deal with, understand? And you are in learning space, so I'm sure your developers are way more better equipped than anybody else's. But how did your team overcome that hurdle?
Um, that's a great question. I think there is a significant learning curve in totally adopting public cloud, understanding how it works, understanding all the available services, how to monitor for cost, for example, right?
Yeah, that is a big thing, you know.
That's a big thing that developers never think about, right?
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care, right? Somebody has spent capex, you
Uh-huh.
have servers, and you just run, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
now in the cloud, you have to clear. That's a fundamental mind shift, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'll tell you, even though we're a learning company, for my development team, it was also a journey. So it was not about just choosing infrastructure and choosing a system design and just hopping over to public cloud. It's you have to take your people onto the public cloud, right? You don't take
Yeah.
the software only. You have to take the people. You have to take the culture. You have to
Mhm.
take everything to public cloud, and that took quite a bit of time to train the team. And to be honest, the team was very excited. The thing that we had working for us,
Uh-huh.
the team was very excited, right?
Okay, that's good.
Because everybody knows that that's the future,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Everybody
Uh-huh.
knows that's the future, so you're investing in yourself as you're doing this for the company, right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
So that was a kind of a win-win.
Uh-huh.
So we didn't have any sort of resistance. It was
Uh-huh.
like open embrace,
Uh-huh.
but still there was a lot to do and there was a lot to learn, right?
Okay.
Um, I'll tell you, we run every month. At my level, I run a fairly detailed FinOps meeting, right?
Okay.
We look at every service, every microservice, what are the resources it's consuming,
Oh,
and
wow. Okay.
and then what we maintain is an opportunity risk log, right? So,
Okay.
can we do this to this piece so that it saves us $30 a month? Not 30,
Oh,
300.
wow. Yeah.
Can we
Okay.
move this there so that it saves us $500 a month, right?
Okay.
And so we actually do a risk opportunity log that we look at every month at my level, and people
Uh-huh.
look at every day at certain
Uh-huh.
levels, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, that is so foreign to developers, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
I can
but,
relate to it because I see it in my little company
right,
all the time.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all these cultural things are kind of a reimagination of our engineering team.
Yeah. So just to not to digress, but give you how I manage my costs. I'm a small company. I'm a venture funded company, so I have to maintain my costs level pretty. And cloud costs can somebody leaves
Surprise me.
something running, and overnight it's so. But I can't keep on asking the developers. So what is what do you think our bill would be, or this and that, and so and I don't they don't want to give me full access either. So what we have done is, using our platform, we have created plugin into our Slack, and
Mhm.
it's a command that I run. I see all my cloud bills in Slack at any point
Awesome.
in time. At any point in time, and I can actually monitor when somebody forgets something, because it just suddenly jumps, and then at least turn it off at that time. So
Yeah,
you not doing it at the level that you are, but I'm doing it at my small level just to make sure that there's no
yeah,
cost overrun. Hmm.
yeah. But you're doing the essentials, right? It's the
Yeah,
essentials about being sensitive
yeah,
that what you're doing actually costs money.
that's correct. Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about serverless, because that's what my company does, and that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years. I wanted to see how does serverless computing fit into your future, at future of things of in cloud computing at Skillsoft. Are you using it partially? You plan to use it? Just your opinion on that. Hmm.
Yeah, the way I look at serverless is a next evolution. I think it's a V1.5 of the cloud journey, right?
Uh-huh.
Or V2 of cloud journey.
Uh-huh.
Today we worry about platform as a service. We still manage VEC2 instances, right?
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
still manage RDS instances, right?
Hmm.
The question is that useful, right?
Hmm.
Because is that useful to my business as to really what I need to get done, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I would much rather get on-demand functions, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
I'd much rather get on-demand functions, something that does as silly as perform quick sort on a large table, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Perform quick sort on a large table, and that's all I want, right? I want to
Uh-huh.
pay really exactly for what I used, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to provision, deprovision, or manage any instances,
Uh-huh.
right? I don't know what an instance means. All I
Uh-huh.
want to do is actually run this quick sort on a large table, right?
Uh-huh. Mhm.
So I think that's much more true utility computing, right?
Okay.
Much
Uh-huh.
more, let's call it much more consumption-based computing, much
That's right.
more fine-grained consumption-based computing.
Uh-huh.
I think that's where things will go
Okay.
eventually, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I think complex applications also need re-architecture.
Uh-huh.
Now, we are experimenting with serverless computing, right?
Uh-huh.
Right now, we are experimenting with serverless computing. So let's say we run for recommendations, we run collaborative filtering algorithms like neural net type of algorithms.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
They are, portions of that algorithm are event driven, right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Somebody likes something, somebody opens something, somebody
Uh-huh.
leaves a course. So these are events, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, uh, I think serverless will work very well for event driven chain computations, right?
Uh-huh. Mhm.
Uh, so you can actually invoking one function after another,
Yeah.
and one function kind of handing over to another,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
a line or a graph, right?
Yeah.
That will work. So the question is, we're trying to apply this type of techniques and try to use serverless computing in specific problems, right?
Mhm.
Let's say collaborative filtering, neural network algorithm,
Uh-huh.
using that in a kind of experimenting with it, right?
Okay. Okay.
So there are pieces that we are experimenting with,
Uh-huh.
but to go completely serverless from where we are will be quite a journey,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because I think it will also require us to rethink application architecture.
Mhm.
We talk a lot about microservices. Question is, do we really have microservices, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
you know Quick sorting a table is actually a good microservice, right?
Uh-huh.
can we
Uh-huh.
can we disassemble our application architecture so that it's truly a series of functions, right?
That's correct. Uh-huh. Mhm.
Series of functions that are invoked in an event driven fashion, a truly distributed architecture, series of functions, right?
Mhm.
um, Now we're not built that way.
Mhm.
We're not built that way, but I think pieces of new things that we are doing can be built that way,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
and we can actually go to a journey like that. But to be honest, I think it is an evolution.
Uh-huh.
Uh, we will begin to experiment with different pieces of serverless computing using, let's say, on AWS, with Lambdas, and on Azure or something else,
Uh-huh.
and go from there.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, no, you actually answered my next question, which was, could you describe a use case in your company? And you did already, which is quick sorting a table, which is a
Mhm.
wonderful use case because it is event driven, and it's chained. You want to do this thing after this and after this,
Yeah.
and let the series of events lead to it. So it's a perfect use case for serverless today. But it's a stateless use case. What we do is stateful also. So eventually, when a company like yours is on serverless journey, they will need statefulness also,
Of
because
course.
all the
Yeah.
use cases that will come in, like
Yeah.
the real interesting use cases, will need state, and
Yeah.
that's where we as a company come in, because we have
Of
stateful serverless.
course.
Okay. So you talked about, how your developers felt about this cloud native journey, how they embraced it because it was new thing, and plus it's the future. But do you think once you have, say, you are adopting, say, something like serverless or Kubernetes or any of those app modernization architecture, you will will you need to train people, or people are already on that journey so it comes natural to them? Are we throwing too many tools at them for them to be overwhelmed, or they are in that journey and it kind of comes natural?
I actually think it'll be more natural than we think, right? Everybody, every one of us,
Uh-huh,
when we learned how to program and when we
uh-huh,
learned about computer science,
uh-huh.
we learned about these functions, right?
Okay. Uh-huh,
That's what we care about. We care about algorithms, we care about functions, we care about getting a unique task done,
uh-huh,
right?
uh-huh. Yeah.
The rest of it is mumbo jumbo, to be honest. right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Rest of it is mumbo jumbo, an instance of a VM, right?
Yeah.
Reserved instances,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah,
It
right?
was actually not natural to go that way. Yes. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
why do I care about that? Because I have to care about that. That's how the infrastructure is being served up to me.
That's right.
If
Yeah.
the infrastructure was invisible and I could just say fire quicksort and say read quicksort result,
Uh-huh.
right? If that were the macros that the cloud
Uh-huh.
infrastructure supported, that'd be nice.
Uh-huh.
I think people will. I think people will adopt it because it's more natural.
Okay.
I think it's more natural. It's more natural the way people think,
Hmm.
right? The, I think we are driving cloud at too low level right now.
That's right. Yeah.
We are driving cloud computing at a low level, right? And we're just going to climb up the level at which we are driving cloud computing.
Mhm.
And I think our teams will totally embrace it, but it also requires thoughtful application re-architecture, expressing complex applications in terms of linked functions, or graph functions,
Uh-huh.
and then kind of go there. But you cannot, nobody will pay us to re-architect simply because we want to go to serverless, right?
That's right. Uh-huh.
So what we have to do is pick and choose, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
You have to
Pick
pick
and
and
choose use
choose
cases that are
use
ideal and
cases
then
that
move.
are
Yeah.
ideal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You must be aware of this Coca-Cola use case, right? Where they
Yeah.
actually do vending machine use case
That's
using
right. Yeah.
serverless computing, processing unit payments for vending machine transactions, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was
Uh-huh.
very smart, right?
Yeah, and I actually Capital One is very public about their use cases, how they have embraced serverless, because everything that, like, from a credit transaction, they're all events. Okay,
They're all
so
events. They're all events. So I'm actually from the payments domain, as I
yeah,
told you.
you know it very well.
I
Yeah, yeah.
worked for 5 to 7 years on electronic payments.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I see like hundreds of applications of serverless
That
in the
is right.
payments
Yeah,
domain,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, think of simply a credit card authorization check,
Uh-huh.
right? Performing that at scale for billions of transactions every day,
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that's a highly scaled serverless application, right?
That's correct. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And similar is I actually insurance industry. So Liberty Mutual is also very vocal about it. And although insurance is not like a cloud computing leading industry, but there are companies that have adopted, because it just gives them the scale and control on their
Mhm.
application very well. So the developers are only coding logic and not worrying about, how much, what's the capacity of VM they need and all that.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. It becomes very natural for them to use it. So, have you seen feature velocity? Because one of the benefits of cloud computing, and it's evolving even more, is the feature velocity. You can do things so much faster, and as we go into serverless, the developers are only coding logic and not worrying about anything. So you would make an assumption that the feature velocity would be much higher. But since you have been on that journey, have you seen greater feature velocity that is measurable across the organization?
Um, Bits and pieces, right?
Okay.
Bits and
Okay.
pieces. I think achieving, sustained feature velocity after you've just done a cloud migration is takes a little bit of time. We are into full public AWS for about, let's say, about slightly more than 1.5 years at this time,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Um, there are certain pieces we had to worry about that we don't worry about anymore,
Uh-huh.
right? Because we're in public cloud. So managing the database layer has become simpler, right?
Okay. Hmm.
Um, so we are seeing some velocity increases, right? Uh,
Uh-huh.
but I wish I was more prepared to talk about this, because I actually don't have not measured before and after to
Okay.
be able to emphatically say that we have seen this much increase in
Okay.
this type of functions.
Okay. Okay. And alongside feature velocity goes like the developer productivity in general.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that must have greatly improved.
So that has greatly improved, right? So
Okay.
this whole CI/CD pipeline, the DevOps pipeline,
Uh-huh.
getting code out of a developer's workstation, right,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and combining that code
Uh-huh.
with 50 other developers' code,
Uh-huh.
making it into an integrated whole, and releasing this,
Uh-huh.
the whole release process has seen improvements, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
potential for more. Because
Uh-huh.
so much tooling available in the public cloud to do all this, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So there's potential for more. So yes, feature velocity not in terms of just core development,
Uh-huh.
but from the whole development to deployment life cycle. I've
Uh-huh.
already seen that.
Okay. All right.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. My days at previous companies, it was. I remember we had waterfall,
mhm.
waterfall development. So you would
Right,
lock in your feature set,
right,
and then you would go to the next stage and next stage and
right.
next stage, and once you made a release, you got.
I remember IBM's software release cycles of 18 to 24 months,
Yeah, same there.
right?
18 months. Roadmap was
Right,
tied at 18 months. Yes.
18 months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, those days are gone. I when someone says,
One,
what is your 3-year roadmap? And I kind of look at it as a 3-year roadmap. We're
really?
just doing sprints all the time.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, that brings me to the last question, really.
Mhm.
What do you think is missing? Where are we falling short? What do you think we could do more, so it's all easy and just up and running? So where can the improvements be?
Um, to be honest, one of the biggest things that's missing, if you're talking about serverless, right? Uh,
Yeah, you can talk in general, serverless as well as cloud, just any.
um, for cloud, in general, I think I would say that one of the biggest things that's missing is education awareness, bringing it back to what we are trying to do in the world, right?
Uh-huh.
So it is actually non-trivial to shape your brain in terms of the modern public cloud, right? What are the
Okay.
services? What are how do you use them? How do you link them together? What are the best practices? Um, there's a lot of retraining that needs to be done in terms of fully adopting cloud in terms of a development deployment cycle. That's a big piece that is missing, right? Where companies like us can help, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's also missing are set of tools that help developers, for example, quickly produce, what's the cost of their footprint, right? What's
Oh,
the cost
okay.
of their
Uh-huh.
footprint if it, what's the cost of their footprint, if they do this, and kind of helper tools and profiling tools that can actually think of a compiler, performance debugging tool that'll actually do make performance recommendations in your code, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We don't quite have the cloud equivalent yet, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We don't quite have the cloud equivalent yet. So
Okay.
training is a big deal, and then live tools where people are developers are actually being coached live, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Uh, simply write better cloud native
Yeah.
code,
So it's a real-time feedback that they're getting.
real
Uh-huh.
time feedback that they'll get, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Better cloud native code.
Uh-huh.
Those are the couple of big pieces missing that I see in my development shop, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
In terms of serverless, I think in terms of serverless, it's still emerging,
Mm-hmm.
but what I feel is missing is much more awareness of serverless. Actually, what
Okay.
can
So
be done
education.
again? What can be done today? There's
Uh-huh.
a marvelous set of things can be done today. Take this whole domain of IoT, right?
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
It's totally event driven. You're
Totally.
sensing the world, you're responding, right? It's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
really event driven, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What kind of application architectures really are amenable for complete serverless implementations, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I think that awareness, that architectural awareness and design awareness is not there.
Okay. Okay.
And I
All
think
right.
once you have that with the current set of tools that I've seen in various public cloud providers, they're not bad. They're pretty good, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, and being able to manage those across multi-cloud, that's another level of difficulty, right?
That's right.
Uh,
Every cloud is proprietary today for when it comes to
right.
serverless. Uh-huh.
That's another level of difficulty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the barriers, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, that's excellent. So just I said that was my last question, but any word of advice for our audience on if they are not taken a cloud native journey, what would be the gotchas that they should be cautious about?
Yeah, I think there is no substitute for understanding your application and how it behaves, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Uh, don't lift and shift. That's not going to give you what you need, right?
Mhm.
Once you stop lifting and shifting, you have to understand the application architecture, how it maps well to the destination architecture.
Mhm.
So I think really mapping it out well, planning properly, and taking iterative steps to the journey is what my advice is. That's how we completed the journey, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of experimentation and
Uh-huh.
a lot of mapping of architectures,
Uh-huh.
certain changing, certain tuning here and there, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It's all necessary, but it's all worthwhile also.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, AP, for this wonderful conversation today. I'm sure our readers, our audience learned a lot today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anshu.